Hello and welcome to Bowerman Airport here in western Washington State, about 85 miles southwest of Seattle. We're parked at the end of the runway because we've got the airport more or less to ourselves as we try and figure out how to crack the landing code of the P-47 Thunderbolt. I found with this airplane here, um, it is quite a combination when you put down the flaps of a lot of drag and a lot of sink. And of course, you're sitting, 6, 7, 8 feet back of the nose of the plane, so limited visibility, and wings that are really not built to glide, but wings that are built more or less to dive. So what we have to do to crack this code is figure out the right combination of power and sink and flaps and drag and deck angle and everything else that'll get us a nice landing. The big problem that I've had so far is excess sink and then bounce on landing, or power to arrest the sink and excess airspeed. And so I am guessing that probably we're going to need about 135 knots or so to make it work, but I'm sort of getting tired of bouncing the plane over and over and over again, trying to get it to land well. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to climb up to about 3,000 feet, and then we're basically going to practice landing on thin air. So we're going to figure out what combination of power, pitch, flaps, and trim and all the rest of it gets us a reasonable rate of descent, a reasonable kind of visibility, and where the airplane actually stalls. So we'll actually fly some landings, say from 3,000 down to 2,000 feet, fly an approach essentially, and then stall the airplane and then recover and see if we can take the lessons we learned from that and apply them to an actual landing. So let's get started. So we want to make sure that our battery is on and our generator is on. We want to make sure that our emergency fuel pump, which is really just a aux pump like on a Cessna, is on, and our mags are on both. And there's a quirk of this airplane. You can't open up the cowl flaps in this model, or at least in this adaptation of the model that I've jammed into P3D, without the engine turning. And of course, if you leave the cowl flaps with the engine turning too long, you'll start a fire. So we have to start up the airplane and get that great sounds. Get that cowl flaps open ASAP. So prime the engine, give it about 5 strokes. Now, I've read the flight manual for this, and so there are guidelines on how to land this plane, but it really is getting a feel for it that's important. And there's really no substitute for sort of learning as you go. So it's going to make sure that the tail wheel is locked, and it is, and our flaps are up, and they are. Our mixture can go full rich, and it is. Let's make sure I still have throttle travel and prop travel. When you bind something to FSUIPC, it doesn't know where your controls are when you first start the sim, so you just want to give them a little movement just to get them so that when you use them for the first time, they don't jump to someplace strange. This is the turbo charger, by the way. And with that, let's put our crank in a little bit of up trim, about there. Parking brakes are on, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn this energizer, hold it for 20 seconds. We'll spin up a big old flywheel, and then we'll flip the starter to engage. And I've cracked that code. We have figured out how to start the airplane. That took a little while, but the secret seems to be to letting the energizer come up to full speed. Now we can grab those cowl flaps and open them up. Let a little good cooling air in there. Okay, so those are open all the way. I'm just going to lean out the engine a little bit, and I'm going to run it a little bit more because I want to warm it up a little quicker, which might be hazardous, but the other thing is I think the plugs are a little bit fouled, so I just want to clear them out a little bit. I'm just watching my temperatures carefully to make sure I don't start an oil fire. Alright, we'll come back down before we do any damage. It's a little lumpy sounding, but no big deal. Just run up and cycle the props very quickly. Just get the oil circulating in the prop mechanism. Notice how with the increased torque, watch it drags the plane. See, look at that. Oop. Pulls it forward on the brakes. Alright, that's done. Just come down a little bit now. And our temps are still a little bit low, but I think we're going to go flying because, well, just because. Now, here is the essential problem, of course. We are in our landing attitude here, and you can't see a thing. So let me just, I'm going to pretend that I'm as tall as I actually am. So let me just set my view a little bit better. Not going to be perfect, but at least it will be. Okay, let's see. Now, obviously, that's too tall, but I'm 6'5", so that's probably not too bad. And that mirror is so that you can check your 6 to make sure nobody's sneaking up on you. Very useful thing. Let me just reset this view in Easy Dock. And the gun sight probably should be more like this, but I want to just line us up just about dead center here, so because we're not going to be shooting anybody. And with that, let us check. Our flaps should be none. Our pumps are on. Cowl is full open. Our mixture should be auto rich, and it is. Prop should be full. Alright, so you know what? That's a little bit, just trying to center ourselves right up here. I actually wish I could get rid of the gun sight, to tell you the truth. Alright, so that gives us at least a fighting chance here. You ready? Stabilize the engines at there, about 25. Remove the brakes. Bring the power up to 50. There we go. 52. Just going to hold the nose up. There we go. You do not want to let the nose drop too far and take off in this plane because the props are very big. So let's bring up the gear. No, let's bring up the gear, not up and down. You have to give the controls kind of a double tap to to make them work. That might be a quirk of the plane, or it might be a quirk of the adaptation of it to P3D. I'm using the migration tool to sort of migrate it. So let's just stay in the vicinity of the airfield here. We're pitched for about 140. We should have no flaps out, and we do not, and that's good. So we'll come up to 3,000 feet in a second. We're climbing at a sort of leisurely rate, so let's just make it a little more snappy. There's another airfield almost dead ahead of us right there. Okay, there's the airport. Nice looking piece of Orbic scenery. Alright, so we'll come up to 3,000 here, and let's just get ourselves stable. And level. And we'll pretend we're cruising. We'll close our cowl flaps just a bit. Leave them open a little. Alright, so adjust the sight picture now, because I'm now just a little bit probably taller than I need be. Maybe that's about better. That's about right. Just resetting my view in Easy Dock. Alright, so let's descend now. We're at 200 and we're cruising. And we're going to pretend this is a right downwind leg. So let's slow ourselves down to a little bit above 150. Props full, mixture comes full. Let's see how far up the nose has to come just to maintain our level of flight. Okay, it's right about there. Okay, we'll put in 1 notch of flaps. Okay, let's see the speed we need to go to maintain level of flight. We're at about 12 psi in manifold pressure, and our nose is a little bit higher than normal. Okay, it's about 140. Okay, so let's get into a standard 500 foot per minute rate of descent. Boy, it really likes to descend. And that's a little slow, because you feel the plane, or you see the plane swimming underneath us there a little bit. Alright, so we need, let's see, that's 38 on the manifold to go down at 500 feet. Look at that. That's 140 knots. Alright. Let's bring in the gear and let's just descend. Let's say we're going to land at 1,000 feet, so we're 800 feet above the field. Here's our 500 feet per minute. Bring in 1 more notch of flaps. Okay, that's full flaps. Now the gear is going to kill us. First, let me just bring in a little more power. Okay, now we need about 35, and we're going about 140. And we're 500 feet above the airport now. Now, I'm going to drop the gear, and I swear to God, we're going to start to sink like a stone, so... Down comes the gear, in comes the power. So you look at us sink now. 1,000 feet a minute, so I'm going to trim up like crazy. I'm going to try and maintain that speed. 200 feet above. Come down at 1,000 feet a minute, so I'm going to drag in some more power. Pull up, pull up, pull up. Okay, I've just smacked into the runway. Let's see. Let's see how we can do here. Okay, so bring the nose up, bring the nose up. Okay, now I'm almost at flare speed. or in flare position. Now let's arrest the sink like this. Let's wait till we get a buffet. Okay, that's 0. So let's roll off the power. So we're at 105. We can do 105. Let's see. Let's stall it right there. Okay, so about 100 knots we can do. Let's clean ourselves up and let's try to land that way. Okay, that other airstrip is right behind us over there. See it right there? And we'll come back across the harbor and we'll come into land and try those settings. That's kind of extreme. Like, you're up or down? It's up. Okay, good. Where is the field? Field is across the harbor that way. Check our flaps. They're up. Alright, so let's enter a right base, long right base. And now we know what we need to do. Question is, can we do it? Okay, we're gonna hold, let's hold 200 there. See if we're gonna hold altitude at 200. Boy, it takes about 35 pounds of manifold pressure to do anything in this airplane. Okay, now we got quite a bit of speed. There is our VASI. Start to trim nose up here. Our heat is a little hot. Well, it's alright. I'll open up our cowl flaps. That's going to give us a little more drag. So we have to factor that in too. Alright, so slow us down. And I'm actually going to come down pretty quickly here. So this was not the stabilized descent we want, but it'll be a pretty quick one, and we'll get to the same endpoint. We'll just have to make a mental note about another 2 miles to start to slow our sink. But at least now we know how to do it, and we know it's going to take a lot of power, and first notch of flaps, it's going to take a lot of power and a lot of gumption. That's a good picture. Alright, so we'll trim nose up and we'll slow down our rate of descent. And we'll put in our next notch of flaps. And we'll discover when we do this we can't see the runway. Alright, we'll have to do something like that. Let's just keep the runway right about there. Okay, that's going to result in too fast a sink. So in comes the power. Still high, but we're going down like crazy. And now we can't see. We are at about the right speed, but we can't see the strip. We're going down at the right rate, Alright, let's see if we can do this. Gotta really drag it in here. And you gotta do it blind. Alright. Get into our pre-flare position. Flare a little high there, and not too bad. I think I bounced once, so let's take a look. Let's go to the videotape, as they say. Back pressure as we put on the brakes. Happy feet. Easy. Okay, so now let's see what that looks like. Let's look at it from the chase point of view. Alright, now I bet you I flared a little high, and I bet you I had a little bit too much sink. Let's first see. Oh, the pappies are just perfect, look at that. But I was still going in a little fast, you see? About 135 miles an hour. So let's see what it looks like here. Really dragging it in. Yep, you see, I sort of paused the rate of descent there, and then we kind of hammered it on. Little bounce. Alright. So we know what we did there. Now let's see if I've got enough room to take off again. Or if we'll have to taxi all the way around. Alright, you want to see what this airplane can do? Let's see what this airplane can do. Just open up those flaps and bring up our flaps. They must use pneumatics. Listen to that. Make sure I still have landing gear. I do. You know, it'd be nice to be able to bring them up. Let's try that again. There we go. Just takes a little while. Bet you they run off of some kind of suction. So what you do is you let them run to where you want, and then you hit this, and you see it'll stop wherever you got them. So let's actually take off with flaps 10, because we're a little bit short here. Let's check our trim. We are surprisingly nose forward. Alright, so we'll trim a little bit nose high. And you ready? Let us go. Bit of torque. Hold back, hold back, hold back. Alright. She can, if need be, climb with alacrity. And up come the flaps. Up come the gear. Temps and pressures look fine. And we will try to do better with the landing this time. We're going to let it get even slower. And we're going to get configured a little sooner. As we climb out, beautiful day. Alright, that's 1,500 feet is reasonable. Be a little bit more, it's okay. Okay. Now, we have slowed ourselves considerably, which is good. Put in our first notch of flaps. Okay. Boy, oh boy, the difference between level flight and sinking like a stone on this plane is not a whole lot. Okay, we can maneuver at this speed. We're level and the nose is high. Let's see where we are. Let's give us a little more breathing room. We'll go right out to the end of that peninsula. That little spit of land right there. Just before the harbor island. Okay, we're maintaining 150. Let's trim up some so we don't have to work so hard for it. Okay, there, we're trimmed for level flight. And pretty steady too, wow. Alright. Put in another notch. Turn to base. Feed in some power. Try not to pick up speed. That's the one nice thing about warbirds is you got plenty of view in the canopy. Alright, down can come the gear, in can come the power, and up can come the nose. Let's see where our runway is. Okay, we overshot, but we are on profile, but we won't be for long. Alright, let's get those flaps in. Okay, we're just a little high, and we're just a little fast. No, we're about right on speed now. And I can't see a thing, so I'm just going to slip ourselves a little bit. So I'm going to have to put in more power to cover the slip. And then I'm going to have to maintain center line like this. Hey, maybe that's a good way to land. Look at this. That's not bad. Alright, now I've got a sight picture. Make sure our flaps are all the way down. Hey, wait a minute, this is not bad. I don't know if that's a good way to do it or not, but we're cross-controlled here, slipping, and we're stable on our descent, maintaining the center line. I'm setting myself up for a big ground loop, I'm sure. But here we go. A decrab in 1 second. Trimming in, trimming in, trimming in. Trimming, 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 trimming. There we go. Oh, bounced. Okay, let's go around. Alright, but actually I think that might not be a bad recipe. That might not be a bad recipe. Boy, this plane does take a little while to clean up. All right, a little bit less of a drastic slip, but I think that's not a bad, it's not a bad idea. Okay, flaps are up. 1,000 feet. Just pitch for 150. A little tighter than I'd like for the base. All right. First notch of flaps. We'll remember to turn a little bit tighter to final next time. Okay. Power about 35 is where we wanted it. Maybe a little less. Let's see, we got 10 degrees of flap. I'm going to carry this speed, this little excess speed throughout this turn to final, and that way we'll bleed it right off. I'm actually not quite level, so let's get level. Alright, now the trick will be to lose that crab without dropping a wing and without skidding across the runway. Let's see if we can do that. Okay, there's our spit of land, there's our island. Make our turn to final. Now I'm going to use this to slow down. So up comes the nose. In comes the next notch of flaps. There's our island. Crap. There's our runway. We are lined up with the Pappies. The Vassie in this case. Still a little fast. Okay, there we are. We're on a 45 degree now. Little nose high. Let's put in the rest of our flaps. Try to bring that nose down. Okay, we're at about 145 knots. Bring down the gear. Bring down the rest of the flaps. Bring in more power. Okay, we get a little bit of red over red, so let's just flatten out our descent. Drag it in a little bit. Okay, we're on glide path now with a lot of power. Wow. Alright, let's get our slip going again. A gentle slip, not a big one. Bring the nose up, bring the nose up, bring the nose up, bring the nose up, trim, 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 trim. Slow. Okay. There are the birds. Just trying to grease it on here. And I did. Alright, 166 feet per minute. Not too bad. Let's take one last look at that and call it a day. Not the easiest plane in the world to land. Let's get a good look at it. See, now look, see the slip we're in? That's because my only sight line is out there. Of course, that's making the plane draggier, so that's requiring more power. I wonder if this was SOP. I can't imagine that it was. But just take a good look at it. Look at that. Right on the pappies. We're going to float a little bit, though, because I'm going to bring in some additional power when I feel the sink getting too bad. Okay, so we decrab. A little bit of a wheel landing. Not too bad. Alright, let's see it one more time from... can we even see it from the tower? I wonder. Yeah, let's see what it looks like. As we listen to the birdies. Okay, that looks reasonably good. Just coming right down the hill. We're not nose high, we're not nose low, so we're not diving on the runway. Got a little bit low energy right about here, which is where I introduced the power again. You see how our sink is increasing just a little bit? Some of that's also because of compression, because of the scale. Just because we're so zoomed in. Alright, so we're over the piano keys. And that's where I bring in the power. You see how the rate of descent came down a little bit? And we probably turned a three-pointer into wheel landing right there. But okay. As they say in showbiz, I'll take it. And with that, I'll see you next time.